Okay. Let me get our PowerPoint pulled up. We're going to look at the basis of language development. This is one of my favorite chapters to teach because I really enjoyed learning kind of the anatomy and physiology of how we communicate, how we speak, and how we hear, and all those things. So I hope that you will find this somewhat interesting. After reading this chapter, you should be able to describe the physical structures that produce speech, explain the relationships between cognition and language, and describe the role that social interaction plays in language acquisition. The key terms that I always want to bring to your attention: articulation, Broca's area, central nervous system, corpus callosum, diaphragm, forebrain, hindbrain, distancing. Some of these are parts of your anatomy: larynx, your midbrain myeliniation, phonation, plasticity, respiration, Wernicke's area, and object permanence. All right, physical basis of language. This figure is, if you were to, you can see he's turning to the side, so a profile view of the head, but a front view of the lungs and the trachea. So you see that we start with the lungs. We're going to start from the bottom and work up because all speech begins there. It begins with the breath that your lungs hold, and then move up your trachea, which you see here. What's your airway? So that air moves up your airway, and then your larynx holds your vocal cords, your voice box, as some people call it. Its technical term is vocal folds. And when the air that you're pushing from your lungs vibrates and pushes those cords together, you hear speech production that travels up through your mouth here or through your nose. So you see other things: your jaw, your lips, your tongue. This is your whole nasal cavity and your oral cavity here, and your pharyngeal cavity. Your pharyngeal cavity is kind of like, if you think from the back of your throat, well, you can see here, I think you can see my mouse, from the back of your throat, kind of where your, what many people call your hanging ball, which is actually called your uvula, where that kind of goes back and your tonsils are, and then kind of the back of your throat all the way down your neck until kind of your voice box. That's considered your larynx. Some people call it larynx. I just think it's pronounced how you heard your professor pronounce it, and I was always taught larynx. Okay. So again, you saw the process of speech within that human diagram, the human anatomy, but also in just this figure, it says it starts with respiration, which means breath, in your phonation, which is what happens where your vocal cords are at in your pharynx. Resonation is where it is in your oral cavity, in your mouth or your nose. Some sounds are produced using your nose. They're nasal sounds. So resonation can be that oral cavity or your nose. So basically, where is the air going to come out? And then articulation is, what is your jaw and tongue and lips and teeth doing? Those things that are involved in speech.